What if, in the time it takes to watch a rerun of an old sitcom, you could get an insider's guide to the best of Spain? Welcome back to Journeys of Peace. Well, you've come to the right place if you find yourself on a plane headed to Spain. For the next 30 minutes, we're taking you on a tour of Spain's most incredible sights, from the grand streets of Madrid to the sun-drenched beaches of the Costa del Sol. By the time you land, you'll be ready to hit the ground running. And this isn't just a list of tourist traps. We're going beyond the sangria pictures and sunny beaches to show you the real Spain. This is a country of fiery passion, ancient history, and artistic genius that has shaped the world. From the snow-capped Pyrenees Mountains up north to the gorgeous Moorish palaces in the south, Spain is like a continent in miniature, packed with diversity and culture. So, sit back, relax, and let us be your guide on a quick trip through the heart of this amazing nation. We'll start with the essentials before exploring its greatest cities and uncovering a few hidden gems. Alright, before we jump into the cities, let's cover a few things that will make your trip a lot smoother. First, some quick practicals for 2025. If you're visiting from outside the EU, you'll need to have proof of your accommodation booked for your arrival. It's also now mandatory for non-EU travelers to have travel insurance that covers medical costs. And don't be surprised when your hotel asks for your passport info at check-in. It's a standard security procedure all over the country. Now let's talk about getting around. Spain is bigger than it looks. Driving from the north coast to the south can easily take 10 hours. Seriously, don't underestimate the travel times. For long distances, the train is your best friend. Spain's high-speed rail network, run by Renfe, is fantastic. The AVE trains connect big cities like Madrid, Barcelona, and Seville, hitting speeds of up to 350 kilometers per hour, though they usually cruise at a cool 300. They're modern, clean, and on time, a far cry from what many of us are used to back home. Here's a pro tip: book your train tickets way in advance. Prices work like airline fares, so booking early can save you a ton of cash. You can usually book up to 3 months ahead. When you board, you'll go through a quick security scan, so give yourself about 30 minutes at the station. The payoff is a comfy ride with free Wi-Fi, power outlets, and a drop-off right in the city center. What about the language? In the big tourist spots, you'll find plenty of English speakers, but learning a few Spanish basics goes a long way. A simple hola, gracias, por favor, and cuánto cuesta will be really appreciated and might just open the door to a more authentic experience. People in Spain are really friendly, so, don't be shy about starting a conversation or asking for help. Finally, get ready for the Spanish rhythm of life. Everything happens a little later here. Dinner is usually around 9 or 10 at night. And outside of the main city centers, many shops still close for a siesta in the afternoon, from about 2 to 5, before reopening. Just go with it. This is your chance to slow down and enjoy the moment. This pace is part of the country's charm. And pack for different climates. The south is hot and dry, the north is cool and green, and the middle has a bit of everything. Our tour starts where it should, right in the heart of Spain, Madrid. This city has an energy that's both royal and rebellious, and it truly never sleeps. It's a place of grand boulevards, beautiful parks, and an art scene that's honestly on another level. Madrid is the perfect introduction to the Spanish spirit. The city's centerpiece is the stunning Royal Palace. Built in the 18th century, it's the official home of the Spanish royal family, though now it's mainly used for big state events. With over 3,000 rooms, it's one of the largest palaces in Europe. Walking inside feels like stepping into another world. The main staircase has more than 70 marble steps, and the halls are decorated with jaw-dropping art, from ceiling frescoes by Tiepolo to masterpieces by Goya and Velázquez hanging on the walls. Plan for an hour or two for a self-guided tour, and definitely book your tickets online ahead of time, especially during the busy summer months. Just a short walk from the palace is Madrid's Art Triangle, home to 3 world-class museums. The most famous is the Prado Museum, which is right up there with the Louvre. It's packed with European masterpieces, but the real stars are Spanish painters like Velázquez, Goya, and El Greco. Seeing Velázquez's famous painting Las Meninas in person is an experience you won't forget. But Madrid's magic is also in its public squares. The Plaza Mayor is the historic heart of the city, a huge cobblestone square surrounded by beautiful red brick buildings. For centuries, it's seen everything from markets and bullfights to royal coronations. Today, it's the perfect spot to grab a coffee and people watch. And when evening rolls around, Madrid comes alive in its tapas bars. For the real deal, head to the La Latina neighborhood, where the narrow, winding streets are packed with traditional taverns. This is where you'll find the soul of Madrid's food scene. The idea is simple. Order a cana, a small beer, and try a bunch of small plates to share, from patatas bravas to garlic shrimp and of course slices of incredible jamón ibérico. It's more than just eating, it's how people connect. Navarre is one of Spain's most overlooked treasures, a region that stretches from the Pyrenees Mountains in the north down to wheat fields and vineyards in the south. It's a crossroads of history, culture, and landscapes. And at its heart lies Pamplona, a city forever tied to one of the world's most famous festivals. When most people hear Pamplona, they think of the running of the bulls. Each July, during the San Fermin festival, thousands of runners take to the narrow streets as bulls charge toward the city's bull ring. It's equal parts thrilling and terrifying, and it has drawn visitors and writers alike, Ernest Hemingway being the most famous, whose novel The Sun Also Rises put Pamplona on the map for an international audience. But outside of those few days in July, Pamplona is something entirely different. It's a quiet, green, and welcoming city where life slows down to the rhythm of tapas bars, leafy parks, and medieval squares. The old town is built around the Plaza del Castillo, the city's main square. Hemingway once called it the heart of Pamplona, and it still feels that way today. Cafes spill out onto the pavement, locals meet for coffee, and in the evenings the pinso bars fill with laughter. Just a short walk away is the Gothic Cathedral of Santa Maria la Real, with its striking neoclassical facade. Step inside and you'll find soaring arches and a cloister considered one of the most beautiful in Spain. Pamplona, a key stop on the famous Camino de Santiago. Pilgrims from all over the world pass through the city's charming cobbled streets on their long journey west to Santiago de Compostela. The Camino really shapes the atmosphere here. You'll often spot backpackers with those iconic scallop shells tied to their packs, taking a break in the shade of the city's medieval walls. Beyond the lively streets of Pamplona, Navarre unfolds as a land full of contrasts. To the north, the majestic Pyrenees rise in a beautiful patchwork of lush valleys and quaint traditional stone villages. Towns like Roncesvalles have been welcoming pilgrims for centuries, offering a sense of timeless hospitality. The forests in this area feel almost enchanted, with trails that wind beneath the towering beech trees of the Irati Forest, one of the largest and best-preserved beech and fir woodlands in Europe. It's truly a magical place. Head south, and the landscape changes dramatically. The Green Mountains give way to rolling farmland, vineyards, and even desert-like terrain. The Bardenas Reales, a semi-desert natural park, looks like something from the American West. Wind and water have carved the earth into strange shapes, cliffs, plateaus, and solitary towers of rock that glow orange at sunset. It's a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve, and if it looks familiar, it's because filmmakers often use it as a backdrop for movies and series. Navarre is also a region of deep culinary traditions. This is Basque Country's neighbor, so expect pinzos, small bites of food layered with local flavors like peppers, cod, or Iberian ham. But Navarre has its own specialties too. The vegetables here are legendary: artichokes, asparagus, and red piquillo peppers, roasted until sweet and smoky. The local wines, particularly those from the Navarre Dio, are perfect companions, fresh roses and bold reds that reflect the diversity of the land. What makes Navarre so compelling is how many identities it holds at once. It's Basque in parts, Castilian in others, and yet uniquely its own. It has Roman ruins, medieval castles, and Renaissance palaces, but it also has wild landscapes that feel untouched by time. And whether you're in the bustle of Pamplona or standing alone on a ridge in the Pyrenees, there's a sense of connection here, to history, to nature, and to the journeys of countless people who have passed through before. So yes, come for the bulls if you must, but stay for everything else because Navarre and Pamplona at its heart hold a Spain that's wilder, quieter, and deeper than most visitors ever see. From the heart of Spain, we're heading east to the Mediterranean coast, to a city that feels like a living work of art, Barcelona. As the capital of Catalonia, Barcelona has its own language and a fiercely independent spirit. It's a city of wild, surreal architecture thanks in large part to one man, Antoni Gaudí. You can't talk about Barcelona without talking about La Sagrada Familia. It's more than a church. It's Gaudí's obsession, a project he worked on for decades that's still being built over 140 years later. Standing in front of it is just awe-inspiring. But the inside is where the magic really happens. Gaudí designed the towering columns to look like a forest canopy, and the light filtering through the stained glass windows bathes the whole place in shifting colors. As of 2025, it's getting super close to completion, with its main Jesus Tower set to become the tallest church tower in the world. You are witnessing history in the making. One huge tip: you absolutely book your tickets online and do it weeks in advance. With over 4.5 million visitors a year, you can't just show up and expect to get in. Gaudí's playful vision is all over the city. A short metro ride will take you to Parc Güell, a public park that looks like something out of a fairy tale. It's famous for its winding bench covered in colorful broken tile mosaics and the iconic mosaic dragon that greets you at the entrance. No trip to Barcelona is complete without a walk down Las Ramblas, the city's most famous street. It's this wild, buzzing river of people, street performers, flower stalls, and cafes. Off Las Ramblas, you can get lost in the maze-like alleyways of the Gothic Quarter, the oldest part of the city. And just like Madrid, Barcelona's food scene is legendary. You have to check out the Mercat de la Boqueria, a huge public market just off Las Ramblas. It's a total feast for the senses, with towers of fresh fruit, glistening seafood, and legs of cured ham everywhere. Grab a fresh pressed juice or pull up a stool at a tapas bar inside for some of the freshest seafood around. Alright, we've hit Madrid and Barcelona, but we're just getting started. If you're loving this so far and getting hyped for your trip, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button to join our travel community. It really helps us make more guides like this for you. And drop a comment below. Which city are you more excited for, Madrid or Barcelona? Let us know. Now let's head south. If you only have time for one stop in central Spain outside of Madrid, make it Toledo. Perched dramatically above the Tagus River, Toledo has been called the city of the three cultures, where Christians, Muslims, and Jews all left their mark over centuries of coexistence. Walking through its winding medieval streets, you'll see Gothic cathedrals, Moorish mosques, and synagogues that together tell the story of Spain's layered identity. One of the highlights is the Toledo Cathedral, considered one of the greatest Gothic structures in Europe. Its soaring interior houses works by El Greco, the city's most famous resident painter. Just a short walk away, you'll find the Synagogue of Santa Maria la Blanca. Originally built in the 12th century, it showcases Islamic-style architecture, despite being a Jewish house of worship. And nearby, the Monastery of San Juan de los Reyes, with its delicate cloisters, reflects the power of Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand at the height of their reign. But Toledo isn't just about monuments. It's a city where craft and tradition are alive in every shop window. Sword making has been a specialty here since Roman times. If you've seen a movie with a gleaming blade, chances are it was forged in Toledo. The city is also famous for its Damascene metalwork, with these really delicate designs of gold and silver hammered into black steel, which make perfect souvenirs. And of course there's food. Toledo is the birthplace of marzipan, made with just almonds and sugar. And you'll find bakeries still shaping it into little edible works of art. Pair it with a glass of local wine and you've got the flavor of Castilla-La Mancha on your tongue. Toledo feels like a time capsule, yet it's only about 30 minutes by high-speed train from Madrid. A day trip is possible, but spending a night gives you the chance to wander its narrow alleys after the tour buses leave, when the city glows quietly under the Spanish moon. Valencia is Spain's third-largest city, but it has a rhythm all its own, somewhere between cosmopolitan energy and laid-back Mediterranean charm. It's a city where futuristic architecture stands right beside ancient Roman ruins, and where every meal seems to begin and end with rice. At the heart of Valencia's Old Town, you'll find the Cathedral of Valencia. Some say it houses the Holy Grail, the cup used at the Last Supper. Whether you believe that or not, the Gothic architecture and sweeping views from the cathedral's Miguelete Tower make it a must-see. Just steps away is the Central Market, one of Europe's largest and most beautiful food markets. The iron and glass building dates back to 1914, but inside it's all about fresh Mediterranean produce, fragrant spices, seafood caught just hours ago, and of course, Valencia's famous oranges. but the city is just as well known for what's new. The City of Arts and Sciences, designed by Santiago Calatrava, looks like it belongs in a science fiction movie. Giant, gleaming structures surrounded by pools of turquoise water. Inside, you'll find a planetarium, an aquarium that's the largest in Europe, and museums dedicated to innovation and exploration. Then there's paella. While you'll find variations all over Spain, paella was born in Valencia. The traditional version isn't seafood at all. It's a mix of chicken, rabbit, and beans cooked slowly over an open flame. Locals will tell you the secret isn't just the rice, but the socarrat, the crispy, golden crust that forms at the bottom of the pan. Eating paella in Valencia isn't just a meal, it's a ritual, best shared with friends on a lazy Sunday afternoon. Beyond the city, the Mediterranean coast unfolds in both directions. To the north, you'll reach Castellón and the Costa del Azahar, the orange blossom coast, where sandy beaches meet groves of citrus trees. To the south lies the Costa Blanca, a stretch of coastline famous for its white sand beaches and turquoise coves. Towns like Javea and Denia offer dramatic cliffs and quiet harbors, while Altea, with its whitewashed houses and blue-domed church, has the atmosphere of a Greek island tucked into Spain. The coastline is also dotted with natural parks. Albufera, just 10 kilometers from Valencia, is a freshwater lagoon surrounded by rice fields. It's the birthplace of paella, but it's also a haven for birdwatchers and anyone who wants to escape the city for a sunset boat ride across the water. Farther south, the rugged landscapes of Cabo de Gata in Almeria reveal volcanic cliffs, hidden coves, and some of the clearest waters in Spain. What makes this coast so special is how it blends history, food, and nature into everyday life. You can spend the morning exploring Roman theaters in Sagunto, the afternoon on a quiet beach, and the evening with a plate of seafood by the harbor. And no matter where you are, the Mediterranean seems to set the pace, slower, warmer, and always inviting. When you really want to understand Spain, beyond the beaches, beyond the big-name cities, there's one region that stands out as the historical backbone of the country, Castile and Leon. This is the land where Spain, as we know it, began to take shape. A place of medieval castles, soaring cathedrals, and landscapes that seem to whisper the country's history. Castile and Leon is the largest region in Spain, and for centuries it was at the very heart of the kingdom. This was the power base during the Reconquista, the centuries-long effort to reclaim the Iberian Peninsula from Moorish rule. It was here that kings and queens consolidated power, setting the foundations for modern Spain. Even the very name Castile comes from the countless castles dotting the landscape, reminders of a time when these lands were the frontier of Europe. Let's start in Burgos, one of the great medieval cities of Spain. Burgos was once the capital of Castile, and its cathedral, an absolute Gothic masterpiece, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Walk through its old town and you'll see why this city was so important. It was a crossroads of trade, politics, and faith. It's also closely tied to El Cid, Spain's legendary knight and national hero, who's buried right inside the cathedral. For travelers today, Burgos offers not just history, but also a vibrant culinary scene. This is the land of rich stews, roasted lamb, and of course, hearty red wines. Then there's Leon, another jewel of the region. Leon was once the capital of its own kingdom and played a crucial role in the shaping of Spain's identity. Its cathedral is often called the Pulcra Leonina, the House of Light, because of its incredible stained glass windows that bathe the interior in color. But Leon isn't just about royal history. It's one of the most important stops on the Camino de Santiago, the great pilgrimage route that has drawn travelers from across Europe for more than 1,000 years. Walking through Leon, you feel that blend of sacred tradition and local life that makes Spain so compelling. Visiting Castile and Leon isn't just a history lesson. It's stepping into the soul of Spain. These cities, Burgos and Leon, were the stages where kings ruled, pilgrims walked, and Spain's identity was forged. For modern visitors, the region offers incredible architecture, deep traditions, and a slower pace of life that lets you savor Spain in a more authentic way. It's less about tourist crowds and more about discovering the roots of the country. Galicia, in Spain's far northwest, feels like a world apart from the rest of the country. Here, the air is damp and salty from the Atlantic, the hills are carpeted in deep green, and mist often curls through the valleys. It's a land shaped by the sea and by centuries of pilgrimage, with a culture that feels both distinctly Spanish and quietly Celtic. At the center of it all is Santiago de Compostela, one of Europe's most important spiritual destinations. For over 1,000 years, pilgrims from across the continent have walked here, following trails that stretch for hundreds of miles. The Camino de Santiago, or Way of St. James, has never been just one road, but a network of routes that all converge at the city's cathedral, where the relics of the Apostle James are said to rest. Arriving in Santiago, especially on foot, is unlike arriving anywhere else. The city's old town is a maze of granite streets polished smooth by centuries of footsteps. At its heart, the Cathedral of Santiago dominates the skyline with Baroque spires that seem to reach for the heavens. Pilgrims gather in the Great Square, Praza do Obradoiro, often dropping their packs, hugging strangers, or simply sitting in silence as the weight of the journey sinks in. Inside the cathedral, the atmosphere is both solemn and electric. On certain feast days, the massive Botafumeiro, one of the world's largest incense burners, swings across the nave, filling the air with clouds of smoke as hundreds of eyes look upward in awe. But the Camino isn't just about religion. These days, people walk it for so many reasons. Sometimes for spiritual reflection, sometimes for adventure, or, honestly, just for the chance to disconnect from everyday life. The most popular route, the Camino Francis, starts out in the French Pyrenees and winds nearly 800 kilometers through vineyards, mountains, and medieval towns before finally reaching Santiago. Other paths actually come from Portugal, the Cantabrian coast, and even as far away as Seville. Along the way, small hostels called albergues welcome pilgrims with a bed, a warm meal, and the camaraderie of fellow travelers. Sharing stories over a simple dinner of bread, wine, and soup is really as much a part of the journey as the walking itself. Beyond Santiago, Galicia itself is a place worth lingering. Its coastline is wild and jagged, with cliffs that plunge into the Atlantic and quiet fishing villages tucked into sheltered bays. The Rias Baixas, the region's fjord-like inlets, are famous for their seafood, especially mussels and scallops harvested from floating platforms. This is also where Albarino wine is produced, crisp and aromatic, the perfect partner for the flavors of the sea. Inland, Galicia's landscapes shift to rolling hills and ancient forests. The countryside is dotted with stone crosses, Romanesque churches, and padzos, traditional manor houses surrounded by gardens. There's a deep sense of tradition here, from the haunting sound of Galician bagpipes called gaitas to festivals where locals dance in Celtic rhythms and celebrate saints with bonfires by the ocean. Even the language feels different. Alongside Spanish, Galicians speak Gallego, a Romance language closer to Portuguese. It reflects Galicia's long history as both part of Spain and a bridge to the Atlantic world. That mixture of influences, Spanish, Celtic, maritime, gives the region a quiet richness that feels timeless. For many, reaching Santiago is an ending, but the Camino has a secret. It doesn't have to stop there. Pilgrims who continue westward find themselves at Cape Finisterre, once thought to be the end of the world. Standing on the rocky cliffs as the sun sinks into the Atlantic, it's easy to imagine how ancient travelers must have felt, like they had truly reached the edge of the known world. Galicia, Santiago, and the Camino are all about journeys, across landscapes, across history, and often inward into oneself. Whether you walk for a month, explore for a week, or simply stand for a moment in the shadow of the cathedral, you can feel that sense of connection. This isn't just another stop in Spain, it's a destination where the road, the land, and the spirit come together in a way that's unlike anywhere else in the world. From the historic south, we're taking a sharp turn north to a region that feels like a different country, the Basque Country. It has its own ancient language, a unique culture, and a food scene that people rave about worldwide. We're heading to Bilbao, a city that reinvented itself from an industrial town into a hub for art and design. The reason for this transformation? The Guggenheim Museum. Designed by Frank Gehry, the building itself is a masterpiece of shimmering titanium and twisting glass. Inside, you'll find modern art from greats like Andy Warhol and Mark Rothko. And you can't miss the giant flower-covered puppy sculpture by Jeff Koons out front. But Bilbao is so much more than the Guggenheim. The Casco Viejo, or Old Town, is a charming maze of 7 streets packed with cool shops and historic churches. But most importantly, it's filled with bars serving up the Basque version of tapas pinzos. Pinzos are a culinary art form. Think of them as little bites of heaven, maybe some cured tuna, a grilled mushroom, or a creamy croquette, often speared to a piece of bread with a toothpick, but sometimes they're just a perfect little creation on a tiny plate. The bar tops are covered with them. The local tradition is to go pinzo hopping, grabbing one or two with a glass of wine at one bar before moving on to the next. It's a delicious and super social way to spend an evening. The Basque Country offers a totally different vibe from the rest of Spain. It's where ancient traditions meet futuristic design, and it's another reminder of how incredibly diverse this country is. We've seen the big hitters, but the real heart of Spain is often tucked away in its small towns and wild landscapes. So for our last stop, let's get off the beaten path and check out a few of Spain's best-kept secrets. Imagine a village where houses are literally built into a massive rock cliff. That's Setenil de las Bodegas in Andalusia, one of Spain's most unique white villages. You can walk down streets that are actually shaded by the rock overhead. It's surreal. Or, you could head to Alcalá del Júcar in Castilla-La Mancha. It's this stunning village actually carved right into the side of a cliff, with white houses sort of tumbling down to the river below, and all of it is topped by a medieval castle. For a trip back in time, there's Albarracín in Aragon, which is often called the most beautiful village in Spain. It's a medieval town with these pink-hued buildings and ancient walls, and honestly, it feels completely lost in time. And Spain's nature is just as stunning. The Cazorla Natural Park in Andalusia is a massive, beautiful park with mountains, forests, and waterfalls. It's perfect for hiking and really for escaping the crowds. On the coast, you can find picture-perfect villages like Cadax on the Costa Brava, which was actually a favorite spot of Salvador Dali, or Frigiliana, another gorgeous white village with these incredible views of the Mediterranean. These are just a few of the countless hidden treasures you can find. They're perfect for day trips and honestly a great way to see a side of Spain that many tourists miss. But to really feel Seville's soul, you need to see a flamenco show. This passionate art form, with its powerful singing and expressive dance, is something you have to experience in person. You'll find authentic venues or tablaos all over the city, especially in the Triana neighborhood. From Seville, we head to Granada, home to what might be the most magnificent monument in all of Spain, the Alhambra. This sprawling palace and fortress was the last stronghold of the Moorish kingdom in Spain. From the historic south, we're taking a sharp turn north to a region that feels like a different country, the Basque Country. It has its own ancient language, a unique culture, and a food scene that people rave about worldwide. We're heading to Bilbao, a city that reinvented itself from an industrial town into a hub for art and design. We've seen the big hitters, but the real heart of Spain is often tucked away in its small towns and wild landscapes. So for our last stop, let's get off the beaten path and check out a few of Spain's best-kept secrets. As your flight starts its descent, we hope you're feeling ready for the adventure that's waiting for you. We've traveled from the royal streets of Madrid to Gaudi's dream world in Barcelona, felt the soul of flamenco in Seville, and stood in awe of the Alhambra. We've seen the modern side of Bilbao and uncovered some of the country's best-kept secrets. But what you've seen here is really just a taste. Spain is a country with so much variety and depth, a place where every region and village has its own story. It's a country for foodies, history buffs, art lovers, and anyone who just loves to explore. So as you get ready to land, prepare to jump right in. Get lost wandering the Gothic Quarter, let a flamenco show give you chills, stay out late for a dinner of pinzos, and just let the warmth of the Spanish sun and its people welcome you. Your incredible Spanish adventure is about to begin. Thanks for joining us on this quick guide. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like and subscribe for more travel tips. Please check out other videos. And for our last question, what hidden gem in Spain are you most excited to discover? Let us know in the comments. Safe travels and enjoy every second of your trip.